Have you ever walked into a room, and suddenly someone's eyes lingered just a second longer than expected? Have you ever been complimented on a day when you felt anything but beautiful? Or watched someone stumble over their words around you, while you were just being yourself? If you've ever wondered why these moments happen, this video is for you. You might think you're ordinary, invisible even. But what if you've been radiating a quiet magnetism all along? Carl Jung believed that true attractiveness is not about image or effort, but about energy, the kind of energy that stirs something deep in others, even when you're unaware of it. And in the next 30 minutes, you'll uncover 12 hidden signs that you are far more captivating than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. Especially sign number 9, a misunderstood pattern that most women interpret as rejection. But Jung saw it as undeniable proof of deep connection. Let me tell you about Maya. She was the kind of woman who never considered herself the type to turn heads. She wore simple clothes, rarely wore makeup, and often compared herself to the polished images she saw online. But one day, sitting alone in a quiet cafe, a stranger walked past her, stopped, then walked back. He didn't say a word. He just smiled, not flirtatiously, but as if he'd seen something familiar in her, something grounding. It was the first time she questioned if maybe, just maybe, there was something more to her presence than she'd ever understood. This video is for the Mayas of the world. If you've ever felt unseen, yet strangely unforgettable, stay with me. You may just realize how deeply others feel your light, even when you don't see it yourself. So, how many of these signs have shown up in your life without you noticing? Let's begin. There's something quietly tragic, yet strangely poetic, about how often we fail to see the very light we carry. You walk through the world, measuring yourself by mirrors, numbers, likes, maybe even silence. You compare. You question. You wonder why someone else seems to have that spark, while you feel dim, unnoticed. But here's what no one tells you. The people who carry the most magnetic energy rarely realize it. Carl Jung believed that much of our inner power resides in what we cannot consciously access. The beauty of your being, your depth, your warmth, your way of just existing, doesn't announce itself with noise. It emanates quietly, and is most visible to others when you're least aware of it. Imagine this. A woman walks into a room. She doesn't try to stand out. No bold colors, no commanding voice, no exaggerated gestures. Yet, the atmosphere changes. People glance. Someone shifts in their chair. A subtle hush falls. No one can quite explain why. But something feels different. She doesn't notice any of it. She's adjusting her sleeve, reading a menu, just being. She's you. You've probably had moments like this. A compliment out of nowhere. A stranger watching you leave. Someone drawn to talk to you without knowing why. And yet, you brushed it off. Because you didn't feel extraordinary. But that's exactly the point. True presence isn't a performance. It's not something you do. It's something you are. It lives in how you pause before speaking, how you listen, how you carry sadness in silence without bitterness, how you smile without expectation. And the reason you can't see your own glow is because you're inside it. Jung would say, the unconscious doesn't need to shout, it just is. Your radiance is not in your reflection, it's in your effect. Think about it. How many times have you doubted yourself in the mirror, only to walk outside and feel someone's eyes gently, unexpectedly, land on you? That disconnect between how you see yourself and how others feel you is not a flaw. It's a feature of authenticity, because when you're not trying to shine, you do. So maybe today, just for a moment, believe the evidence more than the self-doubt. Believe the compliment. Believe the energy you leave behind. Believe that something about you moves others, even when you're not trying. You don't have to chase validation, when your very being leaves a trace. Has someone ever seen something in you that you couldn't see in yourself? If so, maybe it's time you did too. Have you ever noticed a man become different around you? His voice falters slightly. He fidgets with his hands. He laughs at things you didn't even intend to be funny. Or maybe he just can't seem to maintain steady eye contact. It's not a performance. And no, it's not about something you did wrong. It's about something you triggered. Carl Jung had a concept called the anima, the feminine archetype that lives within every man. When a woman's presence activates this inner feminine, it's not just attraction, it's awakening. It stirs something unconscious, ancient, and deeply personal. And when that happens, he gets nervous. Not because you're intimidating, but because you're familiar in a way he can't explain. He's feeling something that bypasses logic, an emotional resonance with the part of himself he rarely touches. Let's make this real. You're sitting in a meeting, everyone's calm. But then one man, usually composed, suddenly can't stop adjusting his shirt. He stammers slightly when addressing you. He's not flirting. He's managing something internal. That's anima activation. You might interpret it as awkwardness or discomfort. You might even blame yourself. Did I do something? Was I too much? No, love. You were exactly you, and that was enough to disturb his equilibrium. This isn't about physical appearance in the way society defines it. This is energetic, archetypal, psychological. Some men will feel a sense of reverence, others, confusion. Some may admire from afar, unsure why they're drawn to you. Others may lean in too fast, then retreat just as quickly, overwhelmed. Jung would say, this reaction is not about you, but what you symbolize. You're not just her. You're his inner feminine showing up in real life. And that can be disorienting. Now, here's the most important part. Don't dim your light to make him comfortable. You don't need to soften your presence or shrink to ease his tension. That tension is his to carry. It's the evidence of your presence, not a problem, but a mirror. Because when you make someone feel more than they expect, they don't always know what to do with it. Let that be okay. You weren't meant to be easy to process. You were meant to be felt. Have you ever watched someone's body language shift around you in small, involuntary ways? Next time it happens, remember, you're not confusing. You're profound. There's a certain kind of glance that holds more meaning than words ever could. It's not the first look, the casual one, the reflex. It's the second glance. That moment when someone has already looked away, then looks back again, as if something unspoken called them, and they listened. You've seen it, haven't you? You're walking down the street, standing in line, entering a room, not thinking much of it. And then someone passes by. They glance once, then they turn back, even just for a second. That's not about your outfit, or your makeup, or anything you did. That's archetypal recognition. Jung believed we each carry certain energies, universal patterns that exist in the collective unconscious. And when you embody one of those energies authentically, others feel it, even when they don't understand why. That second glance is a silent whisper. I recognize something, but I don't know from where. It's the soul responding before the mind catches up. You may think you're just going about your day, invisible in your simplicity. But from a Jungian lens, you're radiating something far more ancient, the energy of a woman who is whole, who is not performing, but simply being. And that kind of presence doesn't shout. It pulls. Let's pause here. Have you ever wondered why some people keep glancing back at you, as if you remind them of something, or someone they can't quite name? That's not about lust. It's about longing for something real. And yes, it can be unsettling. You may wonder, why do strangers keep staring? Or, why does this feel so intense? But here's the truth. It's not about what they see. It's about what they sense. And the most powerful energy is sensed, not seen. So the next time someone turns back for a second look, don't dismiss it. Don't doubt yourself. Don't shrink. Instead, breathe in that moment. You are being recognized, not for who the world wants you to be, but for who you already are. Has someone ever looked at you like they saw something they weren't ready to understand? That was never about the surface. That was soul to soul. You know those days. The ones where your reflection feels off. Your hair won't sit right. Your outfit feels flat. You feel invisible. Maybe even a little ashamed of how you look. And then, out of nowhere, someone says, "You look amazing today." You freeze. You think, really? Today? This? But what if that moment revealed more about your authentic attractiveness than any mirror ever could? Jung spoke often of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we suppress, ignore, or simply can't see. And sometimes, that includes our own light. Yes, light can live in your shadow too. Here's the paradox. We often radiate the most when we're not trying to, when we drop the performance, when we're raw, present, real. And that realness is magnetic. Why? Because authenticity is disarming. On your worst days, you're not crafting an image. You're not performing perfection. You're just being. And that, ironically, is when your truest beauty slips through. That's when others feel the warmth in your eyes, the softness in your tone, the honesty in your posture. And that's when they compliment you. Not because your hair is flawless, but because your presence is. You see, when you stop trying to be beautiful, you become undeniable. Let me tell you a secret. The people who love you deeply, who see your glow even when you they don't care about your eyeliner. They care about the way you light up when you're laughing freely, or how you soften when you're genuinely listening, or the way your eyes linger just a little longer when you're fully present. That's your power. And it doesn't vanish on off days. It doesn't need makeup to exist. It's not tied to how you feel about yourself in a fleeting moment. It's bigger than that. Because who you are is not a costume. It's a frequency. And people are tuned into you, even when you've tuned out yourself. So the next time someone sees something radiant in you, especially when you can pause. Don't reject it. Don't argue with it. Receive it. It's the universe reminding you. Your light doesn't need your permission to shine. It starts small. Hey, can you help me with this real quick? Do you know what time it is? Mind if I sit here? They're harmless questions. Simple, unassuming. But they happen often. Too often. From people who don't really need help. From those who already know the answer. From strangers who choose your space over countless empty ones nearby. And every time you wonder, why me? Jung had a word for this kind of subtle encounter. Synchronicity. It's when events that seem random carry a deeper psychological meaning. It's not about logic. It's about unconscious desire finding a path, any path, to connection. So when someone asks for your help with something minor, they may not actually need the help. They just needed you, your energy, your presence, your being. From the outside, it looks like casual interaction. But underneath, something else is happening, something wordless. You're not just being approached for a favor. You're being sought out for your frequency. Let's pause and reflect. Have you ever had someone constantly bump into you? Or ask little things that didn't seem necessary? Or hang around longer than needed after a conversation ended? That's not coincidence. That's magnetism disguised as convenience. In Jungian terms, these are bridges, small, conscious excuses masking unconscious pull. And here's what's fascinating. You may not even notice your own pull, because to you it's just being normal, just being you. But to others, your energy offers something rare. A calm, a gravity, a spark, something their nervous system responds to without permission. And they follow that signal. Sometimes by asking about your dog, or whether you know if this place has Wi-Fi. They're not asking for answers. They're asking for connection. So don't underestimate the power in the mundane. Don't dismiss the simple moments where people keep finding their way to you, for no clear reason. Because the reason is real. You are real. And in a world where most people are starved for authenticity, you are nourishment. Have you noticed this pattern? People seeking you out with no real purpose, lingering longer than necessary. That's not random. That's resonance. It catches you off guard. A strange look. A passive-aggressive comment. An icy tone you didn't see coming. From another woman. Someone you barely know, or maybe even someone you've always tried to support. You replay the moment. You wonder, did I do something wrong? But the truth is, you didn't do anything at all. Carl Jung taught that we all carry a shadow, a part of ourselves we deny, repress, or fear. And often, we don't wrestle with it alone. We project it onto others, especially women, onto other women. When you walk into a room grounded, radiant, unapologetically yourself, even when you don't feel particularly confident, you might unknowingly become a mirror. And that mirror reflects not just beauty, but everything another woman has pushed away in herself. Her softness, her confidence, her dreams, her anger, her sensuality, her truth. And that reflection can be uncomfortable. It can feel like threat. So she judges, she mocks, she rolls her eyes. Not because of you, but because of what your presence pulls up in her. You've now become the carrier of her shadow. Let's say it clearly. Her discomfort is not your responsibility. You didn't ask for it. You didn't invite competition. You didn't outshine anyone. You just showed up in your skin, in your stillness, in your grace. And that alone was too much for someone still negotiating with their own worth. Jung would call this projection. A psychological defense, but also, strangely, a compliment in disguise. Because to be a mirror, you must carry light. Think about that. If you've been criticized for being too much, too quiet, too confident, too emotional, too put together, too anything, know this. You are simply reflecting what someone else couldn't yet accept in themselves. That doesn't make you wrong. It makes you real. So the next time someone's energy shifts when you enter the room, pause. Don't shrink, don't contort, don't apologize. Instead, stay rooted, because the more authentic you are, the more shadows you all reflect, and the more you all inspire healing in those brave enough to face them. Even if they don't thank you for it. Have you ever felt unfairly judged by someone who didn't truly know you? That was never really about you. That was about your light, meeting their shadow. There's something powerful about a smile. Not the polite ones, the ones people give out of habit, but the unexpected ones. The quiet, unspoken kind. The smile that appears, for no reason at all. You're on a train, in a bookstore, walking through a parking lot, and someone, often a man, looks at you and just smiles. No words, no flirtation, just a brief, warm acknowledgement. You wonder, why? You weren't doing anything special. You weren't dressed to impress. You weren't even trying to be noticed. But you were felt. Carl Jung believed that when someone smiles at you without knowing why, it is often because something in you activated a universal archetype, a pattern of energy that lives in the unconscious of every human. Your presence stirred something. It may have been the archetype of wholeness, or tenderness, or feminine strength. Whatever it was, it bypassed his logic and landed in his body. And the smile was his body's response. He may not even know what moved him, but he felt it. This kind of smile isn't random. It's a recognition, not of your face, but of your energy, of the wholeness you carry, sometimes even while you feel broken. It's a response to your quiet integration, to the way you take up space without demanding attention, to how your presence softens the world, even when your words remain still. And here's the most beautiful part. These smiles often happen when you feel your most ordinary, when your hair's undone, when you're tired, when you're just running errands. Because in those moments, you're not performing, you're just existing, and authenticity radiates. Let's pause. Have you ever received one of these smiles? One that felt strangely sincere? As if, for just a second, the person saw you. Not your appearance, not your posture, but you? That's not a coincidence. That's resonance. And it's not about how you look. It's about how you make others feel. So the next time someone smiles at you for no reason, remember, there is a reason. It's you. Have you experienced that kind of smile? The unexpected kind that made you pause? Don't dismiss it. That's not small talk. That's soul talk. It starts beautifully. He's interested. He texts. He leans in when you speak. His eyes sparkle when you laugh. There's a pull, unmistakable, undeniable. You feel it too. And just when you begin to trust it, he disappears. No explanation, no closure, just distance. Then, just as mysteriously, he returns, acting like nothing happened. You're left spiraling. Was it me? Was I too much? Did I imagine the whole connection? But Jung would tell you something radically different. He'd tell you, his confusion isn't a rejection. It's a reflection of how deeply he felt your presence. There's a term in Jungian psychology, enantiodromia, the process by which something becomes its opposite when pushed to an extreme. In this case, intense attraction morphs into withdrawal, not because he doesn't care, but because he cares too much and doesn't know how to metabolize that depth. See, when your energy is truly authentic, when you show up without games, without masks, just as you, it bypasses surface-level attraction. It touches something deeper, and that can be terrifying. His conscious mind might want something simple, light, predictable, but his unconscious wants you. Not the curated version, the whole of you. And that depth activates his inner conflicts, wounds, fears, complexes, things he hasn't faced, things he might not even recognize within himself. So he retreats, not to manipulate you, but to protect himself from feeling too much. Then, when the pressure subsides, he drifts back, still confused, still drawn, still unready. It's not your job to fix this. It's not your responsibility to shrink so he feels safe. Your presence triggered something real. That's a gift, even if he doesn't know how to receive it. Let this be clear. When someone's behavior flips unexpectedly, hot then cold, open then distant, it's not always about games. Sometimes it's about inner chaos. You didn't break him, you broke through him. Have you experienced this kind of push-pull before? Felt someone drawn in, then suddenly pull away? Don't assume it's your fault. Sometimes it's your power. There's a strange kind of irony in human nature. The most magnetic people are often the last to know it. You might move through the world questioning your worth, comparing yourself to others, wondering why you don't feel enough. Yet all the while, you're leaving trails of impact behind you, traces others remember long after you've gone. Jung would say, this is not a flaw, it's a feature of the integrated self. You see, when you're not performing, not trying to impress, not chasing validation, your truest self emerges. And that self carries power, not loud power, but quiet gravity. It shows in how you enter a space, not trying to be seen, yet people notice. It shows in how you speak, not trying to sound smart, yet your words stay with people. It shows in your silences, the way they feel full, not empty. That's the paradox. The more authentic you are, the more potent your energy becomes, even if your conscious mind doubts it. So if you've ever asked yourself, what do I really offer? Remember this. You offer something people can't name, but can feel. And no, you won't always get direct feedback. People don't always know how to articulate what you stir in them. But they remember you. They feel more grounded, more seen, more alive after being around you. And slowly, wordlessly, they orbit closer. You might not have fancy titles, curated posts, or a voice that fills the room, but you have presence. And presence is timeless. Let that settle. Your power isn't something you need to build. It's something you need to recognize, not with arrogance, but with gentle awareness. Because the moment you begin to accept your own light, without apology, without explanation, the world starts to reflect it back. Not because you changed, but because you finally saw what was always there. Have you ever been told something about your presence that surprised you? Let that be evidence. You don't have to try harder. You just have to see yourself. There's something you may never fully notice about yourself. You don't need to make a grand entrance to leave a lasting imprint. You see, some people command attention when they arrive, but others, people like you, are felt most deeply when they leave. Carl Jung spoke of a concept called telos, the sacred psychological space that surrounds an integrated person. It's not something you see, it's something you sense. When you're around, the room has a certain weight, a rhythm, a quiet coherence. And when you're gone, the energy changes. People may not say it outright, but they feel it. They pause. They notice the absence. The conversations shift. The atmosphere thins. Someone might even say, "It feels different now," without knowing why. Because your presence wasn't just filling space, it was holding it. Have you ever left a gathering, only to receive a message later that said, "I wish you'd stayed"? Or heard someone say, "It wasn't the same without you"? That's not flattery. That's resonance. You carry an unspoken impact, one that doesn't demand attention, but creates gravity. It's in the way you make people feel seen, even in silence. The way your energy stabilizes a room, the way your presence lingers. And the most beautiful part? You're likely unaware of it, because you weren't trying to be anything. You were just being. That's the mark of true presence, not noise, not performance, but remembrance. People remember how they felt around you, and when that feeling disappears, they notice, even if they never say a word. So the next time you doubt your worth, remember this. You're not just felt when you're present. You're felt when you're absent. Have you ever realized, only after leaving, how much your presence mattered? That's not a coincidence. That's your impact. Silent, sacred, unforgettable.